Hello and welcome. My name's Doug Gordon, and I'm a host of the show, Inspirational People, Inspirational Stories, where the aim of the show is to interview inspiring people who've either been successful in their field or inspired others to success in some form. Today's guest is Marisa Peer. Marisa is a world-renowned life coach, therapist, motivational speaker, and best-selling author. She is the founder and creator of the Rapid Transformational Therapy, which is an award-winning treatment program that revolutionises the way we can help people. Through this, she has helped countless rock stars, Olympians, royalty, and leading CEOs to overcome relationship problems, childhood trauma, phobias, and addiction. Marisa has spoken all over the world on TV, radio, and has been featured in some of the top publications in the world. I have the pleasure of meeting her next week in Ireland, and I have to say, she really is a true inspiration and a pleasure to have on the show. Marisa, welcome to the show.
Well, I'm about to blush. That was such a nice introduction. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. And I'm so delighted you're coming over to Ireland. I've obviously watched your TED Talk and watched you inspire people all around the world, whether it be in Mind Valley or stages or corporations or whatever. And I have to say, you really are truly inspiring. I'm sure there's quite a few people over here in Ireland and Europe who would love to know a little bit more about you, how you came the inspiration that you are today.
Gosh, when did that start? I was a third child, a middle child. My dad was a head teacher and he loved his job. And I was always inspired by looking at my father, who my mother didn't work and she was my father worked, and his job gave him so much pleasure. And as a kid, I was remember thinking that you got to get a job that gives you pleasure, because God knows his marriage didn't give him pleasure. So I was very aware of this unhappy couple with 3 kids, but my father got so much joy from his career and he was never sick. Loved it. And I remember thinking, you got to find a job that gives you everything. But of course, my father's whole reason for living was to make a difference in the lives of children. And so I always thought I'd follow his lead and I'd become a teacher. And then I thought maybe I'd become a child psychologist. And then I thought, well, maybe I'd actually like to be a therapist and work with the children that have become adults or I've got lots of issues. And so I became a therapist. I've loved it. I've been doing it for 34 years. And I love it as much now as I did on day one, which is quite unusual in a career to think, wow, I love it just as much. I'll never, ever retire. And so I became a therapist, but I was at the same time working for Jane Fonda in LA. And I was very concerned by what was going on in the weight loss industry, how abusive it is. And I still don't understand how for 30 years people have been getting away with making people go on a diet, and they end up hating themselves. And so I started off being a therapist, which I loved. And then I also became a speaker and I wrote some books. I appeared on lots of television shows. It's like, I thought I was going over there, but I kind of went over there and over there. And then eventually I came round to my father wanted me to be a teacher like him. And it's so ironic that I am a teacher like him. I teach people how to be amazing therapists without having to spend 5 years with a degree. So I went from therapist to speaker to writer to teacher. So now I'm still a therapist, but I teach other people how to be an amazing therapist, because I think it's the best job in the whole world, because you get to make a difference. You get to help people feel good about themselves. And there really isn't a better job than that.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And now you've created the Rapid Transformational Therapy, which is obviously award-winning and everything like that. I'd love to know a little bit about how that works.
Well, I was always a little perplexed about therapy, because every healing model, the dentist, the doctor, the chiropractor says, bring me your pain, and I'm pretty much going to fix you there and then. If I go to the dentist and say, hey, I've got an infected tooth, he's not going to come back every Wednesday, we'll have a conversation about it. He's going to fix it. If I go to the ER and say, hey, I broke my elbow, they're not going to say, well, we'll have an appointment every week. And when you trust me, someone and I can fix your elbow, they go, well, we'll put it in as plaster. And even a chiropractor fixes you there and then. So I was bewildered by the therapy model. Bring me your pain. We'll have a conversation every week. And when you get to trust me, healing will begin. Because when I turned up in ER with a broken elbow, I didn't need to trust the doctor. I just needed him to take me out of pain. And I find there's a bit of a metaphor there with therapy. If people turn up in pain, they already trust you. They've already booked an appointment, come to see you. And I mean, I do get it that some people get to really feel safe with their therapist to reveal all their pain. But I've always thought that therapy should take you out of pain like that, just the way a dentist does, or at least begin to take you out of pain. And so I wanted to create a model that was much more client friendly. Turn up with your pain. I promise you in session 1, I'm going to do a great deal. I'm going to give you everything I've got to get rid of your pain, to help you folk, to make you believe that you're worth it. Because, 70% of people turning up in A&E have real physical problems, but they're not caused from diseased organs, they're caused from diseased thinking. And so many of our issues are from these thinking. I mean, I created the I'm Enough movement. You see all my little I'm Enough bracelets, because I found that so many of my clients, from movie stars to rock stars to a school teacher, all had the same thing, but I'm not really enough. I'm not good enough, smart enough, interesting enough, attractive enough. I thought, gosh, if that's the cause, the common denominator of so many of our issues, why don't I just fix that as its core? When I created our TT, I was showing all the people I train, look, the mind isn't complex at all. It's actually very simple. There's really only 3 things wrong with every client you see. There's only 3 reasons we do what we do. And there's only 4 reasons that we act in certain ways. So it's really breaking down human psychology, making it simple, making it accessible. And when you say to clients, hey, actually, there's only 3 things wrong with you. You don't think you're good enough. You believe what you want isn't available to you. You think you're so different that you can't connect. They go, wow, I've been in therapy for years. I never knew that. And they really like it, because therapy should be for the client. They don't want you to talk about your neural pathways, your cognitive behavior, but they want you to say, listen, your parents didn't appear to love you. And you know what? When parents don't appear to love the child does not love the parent. They stop loving themselves immediately. And that's what happened to you. For all kinds of reasons, you began to believe you're not worthy. But you know what? It isn't true now. It was never true then. And it's a bit like being a dentist and extracting these toxic things that run people. And it's always our limiting beliefs, our blocking thoughts. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I don't deserve it. I've worked with thousands of depressed people and thousands of alcoholics. I've never met an alcoholic ever who thought they were enough. And depressed people have this interesting belief there's no cure. And even if there was, it wouldn't work for me. And I'm not worthy of it working. And so you can't fix someone until you start to extract these toxic beliefs. And I found that being a therapist is interesting. I kind of got a hat on, because therapists wear 3 hats. The first hat is I'm a detective. A detective kind of sticks things on a wall and starts to gather information. And a good therapist puts on the detective hat. They gather information. When did this begin? What was going on? What happened in your life then? I hear you saying that you're 400 pounds and you can't eat cake, but clearly you weren't born like that. So we're looking for what happened. And then after we found it, we put on the dentist hat and we start to extract all that toxic stuff. And then we put on the coder hat. And just like a coder who'll say, your computer's got a bug in it, but let me extract the bug, upgrade your hardware and make it all shiny and better. The coder starts to code in and wire in and fire in a better belief. So just like a computer that was slowed down with a bug and is now firing on all cylinders, your client that had a bug and was slowing down is also firing on all cylinders and functioning at a much better level. So I think what makes RTD is that combination. So many therapists say, come in and we'll find out what happened. And others say, come in and we'll just clear it. But it's the 3 things all at the same time. Let's find out, let's clear it, and let's install something new and much better all in one session. And that's why it's rapid. And that's why it's transformation, because it does everything all at once, but very powerfully.
Oh, I love that. And something else that was very powerful was your TED Talk, which I listened to before the show and I thought was absolutely fantastic. If anybody hasn't listened to it, you've got to listen into Marisa's TED Talk. It was brilliant. And one of the things you say in there, which I say in a slightly different way, is that your word is your wand. And the sentences you say can be the sentences you condemn yourself and others too. Tell us a little bit about what you meant by that in terms of the words that we use and how powerful they are.
Well, if only we were taught in school, and I am actually getting my work I've got into about 1,500 schools so far in the UK and in America. If children knew this, every thought you think and every word you say is a blueprint that your mind, body, and psyche must work to make real. So when you think a thought, it's not a thought, it's a blueprint. Your mind is like a genie and your wish is its command. How does that go wrong? Well, you say things like, I don't want to go to that meeting. I'm dreading that interview. Oh my God, I cannot face my assessment next week. And what your mind hears is, oh, you don't want to go. My job is to get you out, because the blueprint is, I don't want to get dumped, fail, get it wrong. I don't want to have to speak in this meeting because what if I go bright red and stumble over the words? And you're giving your mind, I don't want it. But when you have what you have to say, because it's a blueprint, is, hey, I'm going to ace that assessment. I'm going to be so brilliant in audition. When I go on a date, they're just going to fall in love with my very soul, because who couldn't? And so your word is a blueprint, and your mind's job is to make your words real. And your job is to think better words. When you go, well, how is that so? But if you think of something embarrassing, all on your own home, you go bright red. Think of something sad, your eyes fill up with tears. Think of something sexual, you can start to feel very aroused. Think of food and your tummy might rumble. 4 simple examples of your body and mind working to make what you're thinking real. That's your mind's job, but your job is to think better thoughts that your mind can make real. So, a simple thing, I forget everything, terrible memory, becomes, I have a phenomenal, incredible, impressive memory. Is that true? Who cares? The mind doesn't care if what you tell it is true or false or good or bad or useful or indeed useless. So if I put balm on my hand right now, my mind's going, is that from Prada or did you get that free in an aeroplane? It lets the balm in, and the balm is going to nourish my skin wherever it comes from. But words can be balm that nourish your soul, as long as they're good words. So you've got to stop saying, if I look at a cake, I get fat. Every person I date's ghosted me. Nothing I do ever works out. You've got to flip that over to, got a fantastic metabolic rate. I'm so having a great loving relationship. I've got an amazing immune system. During COVID, we'll say, oh my God, COVID, and there's no line of defense. Hello, there is. It's called your immune system. And if you say, I've got an amazing immune system, a super impressive, phenomenal, reliable immune system, what happens is your mind has no choice but to act off those words. You see, you have a choice. You can say something negative, positive. I'm going to get sick. I always get sick. I'm always strong. Because you can choose, but your mind cannot choose it. It must act off the words you tell it. That's its job. And your job is better words. Yes, I'm on a plane with someone who's sneezing, but I got a great immune system. Yes, I've eaten a cake, but I got a phenomenal metabolic rate. Yes, my kid is challenging, but thank God I've got a kid that's got the courage to challenge me. They'll never be bullied. They'll never be pressured into sleeping with some idiot, because I've got a kid who stands up for themselves. So you've got to always keep flipping and reframing everything. And when you can reframe everything, it actually changes your entire life, not for a little bit, but forever, because it stops being what you do and it becomes who you are. And that's when the real magic happens. When it becomes who you are, it's amazing.
No, I totally agree. And I'm a living example of that, Marisa, because I remember my father used to say I was a pain in the ass, and I had 2 operations there. He said I was a pain in the back. I broke my back, pain in the neck. I knocked a vertebra out of place in my neck. And my mum said, be careful, make sure you put your coat on, otherwise you'll catch pneumonia. And I caught pneumonia.
Yeah.
So you need to be very careful about
I was teaching a doctor. I train lots of doctors now. And she says, it's amazing because as a doctor in casualty, every day I said the same thing. This is doing my head in. And I got a brain tumour. Even I knew, even as a doctor, I knew that it was the words I was using over and over again. People say, I can't stand it. I can't bear it. Often clients will come in and they say things like, I've got this screaming headache or this angry rash or this itchy skin. And they're already telling you by their very words, angry headache, thumping migraine, that it's a repressed emotion. And so it's really interesting to tune into our language. And, our words shape our reality. All we have to do is change our language, which changes our entire reality.
No, 100% agree. I remember when I first started into healing myself, I had people coming to me with dementia and Alzheimer's, and I quizzed them on their language skills. And a lot of them used to say all the time they couldn't remember. And they said that over and over and over again. And sure enough, they created that as well. Now, you've also, one of the other things you said, which I actually loved in your TED talk, was about putting the pictures in your mind and in terms of visualization and getting into the energy of what you want in the future. Do you want to talk a little bit about that as well to help people?
Yeah, one of the things I teach all my students, something called the rules of your mind. And that's actually my new book is called The Rules of Your Mind, because when you understand that there are rules of your mind, you get to make those rules work. And here's one that's so simple, but so profound. The way you feel about everything, and I do mean everything, is down to two things: the pictures you make in your head and the words you say to yourself. So you're going on a flight and you think, oh my God, the plane's going to crash. What if, blah, blah, blah. Then you're going to feel terrible. Think, oh my God, I'm going on a plane. I've got 8 hours to read a book, watch a movie, be served in my seat, just do whatever I want. And so if it's true, and it is true, that the way you feel about everything is down to the pictures you make and the words you say, then you think, well, that's pretty cool then, because I can change it. Because if right now I held up a syringe, what does that mean? Well, it depends on the pictures. If you're a tattoo artist, it's exciting. If you're having some Botox, maybe exciting. If you're in extreme pain, it's like, oh God, I need that syringe. But if you're terrified of needles, it's as if I held up a big lump of meat. If you're a vegan, it's disgusting. If you're a Hindu, it's disgusting. If you're a bodybuilder, it's like, oh, I went to keto. It's like, oh, that's fantastic. Because it isn't the thing. It's the pictures we make about the thing and the words we say about the thing that influences us. And that's actually great news, because you have the chance to change the pictures and words all the time, every day. And when you change them and kind of upgrade them and make them positive, it really does change your life. And it's so simple.
Yeah, I totally agree. And also, I think it's a lot about getting into that energy as well. I was speaking at the Institute of Directors for India recently, talking about sustainability and climate change, and at the same time thinking about my daughter, wishing she'd reach out to me. The next day I went to the airport, ended up sitting on the plane next to a guy with his daughter who kept reaching out to me. She was only 1. I spoke to him. He was a consultant in terms of sustainability and climate change, and his wife on his other side of him was Indian as well. So sometimes when you put yourself in the energy and you think about it and think about it, you also bring about it as well, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, I think so too. You know, we really are not aware of the power of our mind. I've often done that. When my daughter was a teenager, if she was out, I'd think of her and think, you know, Phaedra, you're going to call me now. And she'd always call me, go, hey, mommy, I'm just on my way home, or I'm staying at a friend's house. Because again, it's that I don't know where my kid is and I'm freaking out. But actually, you can tune in, because we all have this universal brain. We know that when birds fly, they fly in the shape of a massive bird. When fish swim, they swim they go, hey, I'll be the tail, I'll be the fin. They just get into that universal brain and they move as one. And the universal brain works for humans too. You know, women will say when they're all together in a group, like at boarding school, they'll have their periods at the same time. Pendulums in clocks start to move at the same time. And if you can't reach someone by phone, start to have a conversation with them in your head, and you'll be surprised at how quickly they tune in. And that's why if you have a brilliant idea, keep it to yourself, because you'll find that fashions change all over the world at the same time, because we're picking up what other people think. And that's why if you're dating and, oh, no one's going to like me, they're going to reject me, they will pick that. If you think I'm the most amazing thing, they're lucky to have someone as magnetically lovable as me. It's got nothing to do with what you look like, by the way. People will pick that up. So if you're going on a date or going for an interview, before you even get there, just take a minute and go, I am the perfect person for this job, or this person. I got everything. I'm the right person. And you'll find that if you have that energy, other people in the room will pick up then. But if you have the energy, I'm faking it, really a bit of a fraud here, they'll pick that up too. So really take some time to believe that you're good enough, because you certainly are. And if you believe it, the whole world will believe it too. But the problem is, if you don't believe it, they will also pick that up.
I love that. I love that. And I know you being a top speaker, I often speak on stage as well. And I often, before I go on stage, I always put my hand on my heart and say, I am Doug Gordon, I am my heart. Please let me connect with the hearts of the audience in order to bless rather than press. And that way you're coming out of your head self into your heart self, getting out of the place of sometimes ego and fear into getting to a place of higher self and also love. And when you come from that place of love, you tend to give out love, vibrate like love, act like love, and speak like love, which is much more important as well. I always say love is an acronym for lots of vibrant energy. Yeah. So I love that. And now you've written some amazing books, and you've got lots of them. I could choose. It's like a lollipop shop for me with all the stuff that you have. You know, you've got this new book coming out, which you mentioned. You've got obviously got your best-selling book, I Am Enough.
I think I'm Enough was probably the book that people have liked the most. It certainly had thousands and thousands of reviews. And I'm Enough is such a simple book, because it comes on the premise of nobody's born thinking they weren't enough. You must have acquired this belief. And just as you acquired it, you can be free of it. And if the common denominator of our issues is not feeling we're enough. And imagine how it would be if you just changed that. My last book is called Tell Yourself a Better Lie. And I picked that title, I came up with that title because I began to think, I see clients every day, and every day I see something which is their problems are caused not by someone saying you're boring, you're an idiot. It's not by the lies that an absent father or an idiot partner or a mean boss tells them. It's the lies they tell themselves. I'm not enough. I'm not lovable. I'm not smart. I don't matter. And if you're going to tell yourself a lie, then you must tell yourself a great lie. I mean, we all tell ourselves lies. I'm the size of a house. My mind is like a sieve. I've got rocks for brains. My legs are the size of tree trunks. I'm dying under stress. I'm absolutely exhausted. These cannot be true. But if you're prepared to lie, tell us a better lie, just flip it over. I got a great metabolic rate. I'm really good with people. I can talk to anyone. I got a wonderful personality. People like me because I'm warm and kind and real and authentic. I'm really smart. I've got a great ability to monetize my unique talent. You might say, well, that's not true. But neither is having a bum the size of a barn. That's not true either. Neither is saying, I'm absolutely starving. Because in the West, we're never starving. We're never ravenous. We're never dying of hunger. But when you give your mind these powerful messages, the picture you're making in your head, and the word I'm dying of hunger, and then your mind's going to go eat, keep eating, binge, shove all those jelly beans in your mouth, have some ice cream, you need pizza, you need more pizza, because you just told it you were starving. If you flip it to, you know what, I really need to eat now, I need to eat really good food, and I get satisfied really quickly, and I burn it all off anyway, then it's a better lie, because whatever you tell yourself becomes real. I remember Muhammad Ali saying, I told myself I was the greatest, and I really wasn't, but I said, I am the greatest. And you know what? In people's minds, I became the greatest. They believed I was undefeated. That wasn't even true, but what a concept. Say, I am the greatest. I float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. And if you say it, people believe it. And we're so busy saying, but I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. Everyone else is better than me. I don't matter. And if only you could wake up every day and say just 4 things: I matter, I'm lovable, I'm enough, and I am significant, your whole world would change, and the whole world would change with you. And I know that to be true because in these 1,500 schools that I've been piloting my RTT for children, people say, well, it's quite amazing. We have all the kids say those 4 things: I matter, I'm significant, I'm lovable, I'm enough, just the way I am. Don't have to earn love or chase love or work for love because I'm lovable. And they said, what's happened is bullying has ceased to exist in this school. The kids are doing better academically. They're doing so much better emotionally because they're not competing. They're like, I'm enough. And, it really is our duty to, if you have children or godchildren or in the profession of maybe working at Scouts or Little League, make the children in your care say that every day, because I promise you, it's a movement that is so powerful because its strength is in its simplicity, but also it's in its honesty, because you are enough. You don't have to, love doesn't have to be earned or chased after or worked for. It's available to you. Once you believe you're worth it, you actually give everyone else permission to see that you're worth it too. And so when I was in Estonia last year, I was teaching a lot of different teachers from all over the world. This thing where I put a huge triangle on the floor of masking tape. And then I put 3 boards. And at the first point of the triangle, each kid had to think a thought, but it had to be a negative thought, like, I can't make friends. I'm not smart. I don't like the way I look. Then they had to run to the second point, and they had to put on the board a feeling that came from the thought. And the feeling would be, well, I feel so sad. I feel angry. I haven't got friends. I feel sad. I can't do math. I had to run to point 3, which was a behavior. And then the behavior would be, well, I'm crying because I don't like the way I look. I'm having a tantrum because I'm not good at math. So I'm really angry. Then they ran back to the thought. And they just did about 3 rounds of thought, feeling, behavior, thought. And then they all got it. Oh, it starts with a thought. And then they change the thought to, I'm a smart kid. I got loads of friends. When I look in the mirror, I like what I see. Then they'd run to the feeling and they go, well, I feel good. I feel brave. I feel so. And then they run to behavior. I can ask anyone for help because I'm smart. Of course, I can ask kids to come and have a sleepover. Everybody likes me. And at 9, they totally got it, that this ladder or this triangle, everything starts with a thought. People say it started with a kiss. No, it doesn't start with a kiss. It starts with a thought about a kiss. People say, I don't know how I got in bed with my brother-in-law. It just happened. But it didn't just happen. You had to think about it. I like him. He likes me. Let's be crazy. Later think, oh my God, what was I doing? Everything starts with a thought. And we're so busy trying to change our shape, our skin, our kids, when all you ever have to do is just change your thought. Because here's how it works. It's a ladder. Thoughts come first, then comes feelings, then come behavior or actions. And forget about the action or even the feeling, just change. If your thought is, no one likes me, or everything I touch falls apart, or I'm not good at anything, change that. Don't start studying to learn stuff. Change the thought. Everybody likes me. I'm smart. I've got a unique gift. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm going to find it. And if you can just change your thought, that will change your feelings. That will change your actions. The law of control says everything begins with a thought. By the way, there's nothing you can control. You can't control the weather or the traffic or even your own body, but you can control your thinking. When you control your thinking and make your thoughts part of the world, will change for you so powerfully. And that change will last for your entire life.
Oh, I love that. There's so many gems there, I have to say. And you just verified what I said in my own book and also my own TED Talk, in terms of what makes people successful in life really is a state of self-confidence. And that comes from knowing your own self in terms of self-love. And you also talked about emotions with children. And I think that's something that I think is so important. If we could teach children emotional intelligence, probably one of the most grounded versions of consciousness.
Yeah, and everybody can do that. It's just a matter of saying to your kid, I remember years ago, I was driving my daughter to school, she went, Mummy, I can't read this book. I can't read it. I said, let me have a look. I said, well, darling, you're 6. And this book is for a 9-year-old. Your teacher must think you're so smart. She went, give me that book back. She said, I can read it. I said, I know you can, because your teacher thinks you've got the reading ability of a 9-year-old. And so she went from I can't to, wow, she's given me this book because she believes in me. And therefore, I'm going to honor what she's seeing, that I can read what a 9-year-old could read. And if only we could all talk to our children a little differently. You're a great kid, you're a smart kid. I never say to my kid, what happened? What's wrong with you? I say, what happened to you? So if my daughter came home in a bad mood, I wouldn't go, what's wrong with you? I go, what happened to you today? You're a great kid, but you're being what happened? You go, well, my friend said I was horrible. My friend said I was stupid. I go, well, yeah, but your friend doesn't know you, and that's not true. And we just have to just understand that our children are like sponges, and so are we. And then as an adult, and even as a child, the most important words you'll ever hear are the words you say to them. My friend said, I'm ugly. I said, what do you think? She said, well, I don't think I think I'm beautiful. I said, well, that's it, isn't it? It doesn't matter what your friend thinks. It's what you think. If you think you're smart and kind and friendly and beautiful, then you keep thinking that. And if other people say you're not, you don't have to let that in, because that's one of the keys to having a happy life. Do not let in destructive criticism, but do let in praise, especially your own praise, and don't let in criticism that comes from you when you're about to go, I'm such an idiot, I'm such an airhead, just stop it and go, no, I'm a human, I made a mistake, and that's okay to err as human. But don't let in criticism, I'm an idiot, we all do things wrong. That's how you learn. And success doesn't mean you will never fail. It means how fast you get back on track. We all fail, but we learn a lot from failing. So don't beat yourself up for that. Just keep going, because you're right. Happiness and success is an inside job. And success is not really measured by how much money you have or even how much you weigh or what label you are. Success is measured by, do you like yourself? Do you go to bed at night waiting and going, I like myself? Because your punishment and reward in life are the same. You get to go to bed every night and wake up with yourself. And if you like yourself, it's like, wow, what a great life. I go to bed and I wake up liking me. But imagine going to bed and waking up hating. I've worked with many, many prisoners, and they all hate themselves. They're in prison, whether they're in jail or not. But when you remember, okay, so your punishment and reward in life are the same. It depends how much you like you. And why wouldn't you like you? And by the way, if you don't like you, how can you expect anyone else to? And like you because you're real and genuine and nice and kind and warm and all the things that matter. You're a good friend. you know, you care about people. It doesn't matter what size you are or how big your car or your house is. It's what's in here. Are you a good person? Do you think you're likable? Do you think you're lovable? Because if you don't, then everything you require will be meaningless. But if you do, you've already won the lottery, because people think, oh, you know, if I was a millionaire, I'd feel good. If I was a size 10, I'd feel good. If I had a great job, I'd feel good. But you see, if you think of it, if you had all those things, how would you feel? You can get the feeling without the things. You have absolutely won the lottery anyway. So you think, if I had £1 million or a Ferrari, how would I feel? And then think, could I feel that without it? You absolutely could. And that's the thing to focus on. How would I feel if I had all that stuff? Well, you can feel that without all that stuff. And that really is winning the lottery.
I love that. I love that. We're running out of time, and I'd love to know, when is your new book going to be launched?
Oh, probably not for another year. You know, I'm just about to go to Rushden in London and teach my next round of RTT, and then I'm going to LA to teach it, and then I'm going to Amsterdam to teach RTT. So my big thing at the moment is teaching RTT, teaching my new business, Dietless Life, which is all about how abusive diets are, putting my programs into schools. But I think it'll probably be out this time next year.
Love it. And Marisa, tell people how they can get in touch with you.
Well, if you go to marisapeer.com, you can find out where I am. If you go to rtt.com, you can find out how to train with me and do what I do. If I'm on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook, I'm so glad I'm called Marisa Peer, because a bit like Tigger, there's only one of me, and you can find me everywhere. But marisapeer.com to find out where I'm speaking. We give away lots of free stuff. We give away lots of free audios. In fact, we have free audios on love blocks, money blocks, health blocks. They're all free. Take as many as you like. But if you'd like to do what I do, which is the best job in the world, go to rtt.com and find out how to train with me. You don't need a background in therapy at all, and we'd love to have you.
I love it. And if you are out there, I have been on Marisa's website, and it's absolutely fantastic with so many little gifts on there. And also, if you haven't seen her speak, get on YouTube and have a look at some of her speeches, because they're absolutely fantastic. And if you're looking for a great speaker for an event, make sure you get in touch. Marisa, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on your show. I wish you every success going forward.
And I'll see you at Pendulum next week.
Absolutely. My name's Doug Gordon, and you've been listening to Marisa Peer on Inspirational People, Inspirational Stories. I'll be back next week with another inspirational guest. In the meantime, if you need to get in touch, please contact me at dougdgordon.com. From all of us here on the team of the show, I wish you a truly inspirational weekend and look forward to speaking to you next week. Bye for now.